to support authority, power, and social customs. So these are called meta-narratives. In a Western world, the meta-narrative of Enlightenment age of 18th century, they used to believe that human development can happen only with scientific advancement and reason. So they can, because there was an atmosphere of religious superstitions, and people believed that one can fight, one can go against, one can overcome from these religious superstitions with being logical and reasonable. So reason is something that they can adapt, and science is something that with that they can do the development. And another one is they can enjoy the freedom with this democracy. So these two are meta narratives of Western world or Enlightenment age. But when they witnessed the events and politics of World War II and Holocaust, where too many people were killed due to this dictatorship of Hitler and Nazis. They have killed too many people. It is called Holocaust. If there was mass killing, if there is a mass killing of particular group of people uh, who belong to a particular religion or a caste, and if they were killed in a mass, then it is called Holocaust. So this due to this Nazi Holocaust and World War II, they have witnessed these destruction, and they found that it is not reason and science which can lead them towards the development of humanity. So that's why their faith was shackled, and they started rejecting and questioning these meta narratives. And they posted a question that all these stories are just telling about power and authority. They are just for the sake of power, and it is not common for everyone. This story, there must be not one story which is common for all, but many stories which are different for every culture, and all the all different cultures have their own story or minor narrative instead of one. So this is called meta-narrative, and this how Lyotard has defined postmodernism as incredulity, એટલે કે અવિશ્વાસ, distrust in these meta-narratives, which are totalizing and appealing to the universe. It means એ એવું કે બધા માટે સરખું તો it is not possible. So postmodernism is telling that કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ છે, કોઈ પણ વાક્ય, statement or any epic cannot be true for everyone. બધા માટે અલગ અલગ હોય છે. So the central characteristic of postmodernism is it is rejecting and questioning meta narratives, challenging all established discourses. કોઈ પણ established theory છે, discourse છે, જે universally appeal કરે છે, which try to offer universalist account of existence. They are challenging it. So if you think that this is true, it is just true for you, not for everyone. That's why we have seen that this image which tells us that if one person tells that it is 6, જો એવું કે હું કહે છે સાચું 6, and then this person starts dominating another one. For example, let us imagine that these two images or this person are cultures. આપણે એવું ધારી લઈએ કે આ બે માણસો નથી પણ કલ્ચર છે. So one culture is viewing any discourse or a statement or a value and telling that this is my discourse, this is my way of looking at the thing, and it is the only truth. એટલે કે એવું કહે છે કે આ 6 જ છે, 9 નથી. And if the person starts, if the culture starts dominating other culture, then what they will do, this statement, another culture will be false, and this will be the dominating one. So this how other culture will remain in margin. and people think that 9 is the incorrect and 6 1, whatever this person is telling, is the only truth. And that's how we started believing in one particular matter and considered that it is universal or universally accepted one, but it can't be like this. કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ છે, કોઈ પણ ડિસ્કોર્સ છે, સ્ટેટમેન્ટ છે, એ બધી વસ્તુ છે બધા માટે અલગ અલગ હોવાની. So there can't be any universal or totalizing theory, discourse, value, moral, and this how everyone is having different perspective to look at. એટલે આ બંને સાચા છે. So postmodernism values these all minor narratives as well as it also values different perspectives or variety of perspectives. એક નહીં પણ અનેકમાં માને છે. So whichever theory tries to tell that આ theory તો બધે લાગુ પડે, એ બધી theory ખોટી છે. So this how it questions to the theories which try to offer universalist account of existence. Another characteristic is it presents clear rejection of modernism. Of course, it is clear rejection of modernism as it is a rupture of modernist ideology. It is subjecting modernist attitudes and philosophy. This we are going to see today when we will see that how modernism and postmodernism both are different. આ તમને વધારે ત્યારે સમજાશે જ્યારે આપણે ડિફરન્સ જોશું that what is the difference between modernism and postmodernism, what are the differences in attitudes of modernist stage and postmodernist stage. It rejects rationality. This is the prime characteristic. It rejects rationality. As I told you that it is rejecting the enlightenment narrative of logic and reason. So it rejects rationality. There is the disappearance of the comforting security that reason offered. So many people believe that if you're reasonable, if you're practical, then you are good, that you are intelligent, but it is not always so. Somewhere you find that you can't be logical. The theories, the discourses, whatever logic is offering you, it is not always correct. તમે કોઈ પણ એક theory લઈ લો and you will find that it is not correct everywhere. For example, theory of good karma or being logical. So એવું કે ભાઈ સારું કામ કરશો તો સારું ફળ મળશે. So this is logic. What we call it, this is logic. So when you will witness, જ્યારે તમે કોઈ એવા માણસને જોવો કે ના આણે તો જિંદગીભર ખરાબ કામ કર્યું છે but still he is living luxurious life, then you find that this logic is not true. This theory સારું કર્મ કરવાથી સારું ફળ મળે, એ discourse છે કે theory છે, એ અહીંયા apply થતી નથી. So it is not universally appealing, એટલે કે universally બધા માટે લાગુ થતી નથી. So there is a disappearance of the comforting security. એટલે એનાથી જે comforting security મળે છે reason થી કે ચાલો વાંધો નહીં આપણે આમ જીવીએ. So it is giving us comfort, but this is not true. So that's why it rejects rationality કે બધા કેસમાં આવું થતું નથી. Postmodernism presents a refusal to accept any system of thought, any system. Now this is a system that I told you કે આવી રીતે જીવવું જોઈએ. So it is a system of thought or theory as universal. કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ જે એવું કે નહીં અમે બધા માટે સરખું છે or which is appealing universally, it rejects everything. It refuses that nobody or not even a single theory can claim to be universal. It gives preference to fragmentation over unity. Fragmentation means I told you that parts instead of a unifying whole. It means it gives importance to minor narratives or smaller stories, small claims, or you find that fragmented views like amari mate saru છે. This is our story. Though it is small, though it can be applied to a very small group of people, but still it is appealing. So they used to give a preference. This postmodernism gives preference to fragmentation over unity, dispersion over linear order. Linear એટલે જે સીધે સીધું સિસ્ટમેટિક લાઇનમાં છે, ક્રોનોલોજીમાં છે નહીં, બટ ડિસ્પર્ઝન આડું અવડું. And the anecdote over the epic. Epic means which is appealing to everyone. Epic means which is widely accepted by everyone, but it doesn't value epic. It values anecdote. જે નાના નાના ટૂચકાઓ છે, જે પર્ટિક્યુલર કલ્ચર માટે છે કે કોઈ નાના ગ્રુપના માણસો માટે છે, they are valuing this. So this is a very interesting characteristic which says that it is giving preference to fragmentation, dispersion, and anecdotes over unity, linear order, and epic. Then it rejects categorization. Of course, this is a very interesting characteristic of postmodernism. It rejects categorization. કે આ high, આ low, આ medium, અથવા તો આ science, આ literature, એવી રીતે એની જે અલગ અલગ category છે એને એ ભૂસી નાખે છે. So it rejects categorization. Instead of it blurs the boundaries. એટલે એવું કહે છે કે બધાનું mixture કરો. There can't be any category. So postmodernism is about blurring the boundaries between high and low culture. High and low culture means sometimes you find that if the person is intelligent, or high culture means they used to view, they used to watch particular kind of films, they used to live in a particular manners, and other people popular, which is widely accepted, they used to believe different ideals, and they used to live with different manners. So for example, it can happen if we take example of films, you will find that some films are popular films, એમાં જે ખાલી entertainment માટે હોય છે, which is attaching to the mass, like Salman Khan films. એટલે એ એવું કે ભાઈ દિલ में आता हूँ, दिमाग में नहीं, समझ में नहीं. So it is like you should put your brain aside and watch it without logic. So it is like popular cinema, and another one is elite cinema. Cinema is just an example, but we can also link culture here. So elite means some films are there which are not made for a popular or a population, I mean for mass, but they are appealing to a kind of people who are intelligent, like some films made from novels, or some films which are especially made, which nobody can watch it without brain, without using brain. Like એમાં મગજ વધારે વાપરવું પડે, થોડુંક સહન કરતા હોય એવું પણ લાગે. So these are some films talking about some serious topics, or they are very serious, and that's why mass cannot enjoy it. જેને entertainment જ જોઈએ છે એ બધાને enjoy કરશે નહીં. But elite films, elite cinema is for critics who can enjoy the film, full મગજ વાપરીને જોવે અને એને enjoy કરે. So this how any culture, any discipline can be divided. અમુક વસ્તુ શેની માટે છે તો કે બધા માટે, mass માટે. It is for mass, and another one is for elite and intelligent people. For intelligent people who can watch it or enjoy watching this kind of difficult films or theories, or even any subject. Film ni badle તમે કોઈ પણ subject લઈ શકો. Even you can also take literature like Chetan Bhagat, popular literature, and instead of Chetan Bhagat, if you go forward with reading some difficult works like Waiting for Godot, or this one, The Stranger by Albert Camus, which you have studied. So this is difficult. It is for elite group of people who are already intelligent and educated. So this how there is always a demarcation, એટલે કે હંમેશાની category હોય. Popular culture જુદું હોય, elite જુદું હોય. So and elite cinema people cannot enjoy. એની જેમ જ elite literature છે એ ભણવાની મજા આવતી નથી. For it is for mass, એટલે જે mass છે ક્યારે એ બધું નહીં વાંચે, but they will enjoy reading this Chetan Bhagat novels. So this how postmodernism is blurring the boundary. So postmodernism tries to reject the boundaries. એટલે આવું અલગ અલગ પોપ્યુલર અલગ અને એલિટ અલગ એવું અલગ કરવાની જરૂર નથી. They must be studied together. પોપ્યુલર કલ્ચર છે તો એને પણ સ્ટડી કરો, elite છે તો એને પણ સ્ટડી કરો. There must be something in popular culture. So when I was in my I was doing my MA, I have studied this Chetan Bhagat novel. The title is One Night at the Call Center. So એ છે એ પણ અમારે ભણવામાં આવતી હતી. So somewhere people question that why PG students should study these type of popular fiction. But because postmodern literature is blurring the boundaries, it rejects the categories of high and low culture, different disciplines and ideologies. Different disciplines, it is also blurring different disciplines. For example, if you read some novels, you cannot understand that is it novel or a fiction, or is it fact, or somewhere history. આ history છે કે novel છે? Is it fact or a fiction? આ સાચું છે કે પછી imagined છે કે ખોટું છે? So this how it blurs the boundaries between various disciplines like history and fiction, or even psychology and fiction. So biography and fiction, કે biography વાંચીએ છીએ આપણે બીજા કોઈ રાઇટરની કે પછી આ fiction છે. This also is not clear. So it is blurring boundaries between high and low culture, different disciplines and ideologies like fact and fiction, history and story, theory and fiction, etc. Even you cannot understand that the book is talking about fiction. Fiction એટલે કોઈ novel છે કે પછી theory છે? See, we have two categories, creative writing and critical. Critical માં શું હશે તો કે analysis, અને creative માં શું હશે? Fiction. So postmodern literature, when you will study, I will give you different examples. When we will go through examples, you will get confused. આ કોઈ critical theory વિશે વાત કરે છે કે પછી ખાલી story છે? So it is blurring the boundaries between all these disciplines and studying it and creating anything with involving each other, or putting it together. બધું ભેગું કરી નાખે છે. Okay, postmodernism shows an interest in the surface, the image and the copy rather than in the depth, the reality and the original. This is very interesting. Mostly you find that whenever we are studying any novel or any fiction, you will find that we always used to write a question of realism. કે આમાં આ નોવેલમાં રિયલિઝમ કેટલું છે? Is it connected to reality? That how this novel tries to portray reality. એ કેવી રીતે realistic culture portray કર્યું છે? You may have studied David Copperfield or even other novels of George Eliot and Victorian novels, which talks this novel talks about that reality is portrayed well, but postmodernism doesn't about reality or even truth or original, કે original culture આવું છે અને reality છે કેવી રીતે portray થઈ છે. So this way it doesn't concern about reality, how it is portrayed, but it talks about the surface, how it is portrayed. Is it in a real way or not? That doesn't matter. Reality શું છે અને એનું portrayal શું છે એની સાથે કોઈ comparison નથી. But it talks about the surface, the image and the copy rather than in the depth. એટલે એ depth study નથી. The reality and the original. It is not the study of the depth, reality or the original one, but it studies surface, image and the copy. Copy means however it is imitated in the work. So it is not studying that how original one is that. For example, if the novel is talking about historical event, કોઈ novel છે historical event વિશે વાત કરે છે, તો આપણે શું કરશું? સૌથી પહેલા તો કે એને event સાથે connect કરશું. We will connect it to the event, that this is the true event, original કીધું ને હમણાં, original, and it is how it is portrayed in the novel. Novelમાં novelist એનું પોર્ટ્રેલ કેવી રીતે કર્યું છે. So is it true or false or fact or a fiction? So how fact is portrayed in the novel, but postmodernism doesn't go through the original event or the true or reality કે ઓરિજિનલમાં શું થયું છે એની સાથે કોઈ કન્સર્ન નથી. What postmodernism will study only novel which is actually copy or imitation of the original event. પછી ભલે ગમે તે રીતે ખોટું સાચું જે પણ થયું હોય, but it concerns, it interested in studying the fiction or the image of that particular portrayal of original event, and it doesn't concern the original or reality of that particular historical event. It also values the strategies of presentation, of course, how it is presented, not what. So how anything is presented, this matters instead of what. શું પ્રેઝન્ટ કર્યું છે નહીં, પણ કેવી રીતે. That's why it is more interested in narrative styles instead of theme or the story. So value strategies of presentation rather than the truth behind the representation. કે જે પણ represent કર્યું છે, whatever is represented, is it true or not? This postmodernism is not interested in, but how it is represented, કેવી રીતે represent થયું છે. So narration is important instead of what is narrated. It gives emphasis on discourse, the language and the narrative rather than on the reality these supposedly convey, because it doesn't believe in reality. Reality એવું કઈ હોય નહીં, and reality cannot be similar to everyone. So it is only based on relativity or interpretation. So it discard the study of reality and focuses on how it is narrative rather than on the reality these supposedly convey. Postmodernism celebrates questioning spirit. Of course it questions. જે પણ પહેલેથી એસ્ટાબ્લિશ થયેલું છે એને postmodernism છે એ પડકારે છે. That is it true? If you believe that this was the true event which happened in history, then is it true? It asks questions. So all this fiction or even art of postmodernism is questioning, is putting question on the conventional narrative or the conventional discourses. It questions hierarchical system, of course. The desire for flows, shifts, multiplicity rather than order, organization and tyrannical coherence can be noticed as postmodern characteristic. So there is a desire for flows, shifts and multiplicity. ખાલી એક જ narrative નહીં, પણ ઘણા બધા shifts. It's not that one should view story with one perspective only, પણ એક જ event છે અને જુદી જુદી રીતે કેવી રીતે narrate કરી શકાય અને થઈ શકે, અને આ બધા narration છે એ સાચા છે. So this how it talks about the flows, shifts, multiplicity rather than order. So it doesn't believe in order, organization and tyrannical coherence. So they believe that this coherence, કોઈ પણ વસ્તુને તમે systematically મૂકવા જાવ છો તો એને તમે મારી મચડીને મૂકો છો. So that's why it doesn't believe in putting everything in coherence, can be noticed as postmodern characteristic. So these are some of the characteristics of postmodernism. We will study this one tomorrow because we will study one author, or you can say philosopher, Baudrillard, and his theory is very interesting. So whenever we will have our next lecture, we will study this point, and at the time you will understand it very easily, that how it gives more importance to surface, image and copy. Second point of today's lecture is the difference between modernism and postmodernism. Now these are very few points, very easy points to understand. Modernism, it started from late 19th century till 20th century, and postmodernism from mid 20th century, means 1960s. And modernism was influenced by the First World War and postmodernism Second World War. Another one, this is the difference in time or period. આ તો સમયમાં ફેરફાર થયો. but if we have made demarcation, એટલે કે જો આપણે એની વચ્ચેનો ભેદ કરીએ છીએ, it means that there must be some difference in ideologies between these two ages. So modernism was based on using rational and logical means to gain knowledge, since it rejected realism. So modernism is also anti-conventional or anti-traditional. It rejected realism, as we have already seen it, Victorian realism, કે એને કેવી રીતે જે પણ ટ્રેડિશનલ છે, જે પણ ટ્રેડિશનલ વેલ્યુઝ છે, કસ્ટમ છે, એને રિજેક્ટ કરી હતા. So this we have already noted that modernism is a reaction and rejection towards Victorian realism, but it was based on using rational and logical means, but they are also being logical and rational while rejecting Victorian ideals. So it believes in gaining knowledge with logic. So તમે એવું કહી શકો કે જ્ઞાન કેવી રીતે મળે, તો કે લોજિક થી, કે reason થી. Then your mentality is modern, still modern. So modernism believed in getting knowledge through being rational and logical, but postmodernism was based on an unscientific, irrational thought process, and it rejected logical thinking. So it already rejected modernism. So postmodernism has already rejected modernism, કે જે વસ્તુ એમ કહે છે કે લોજિકલ થઈ શકે અથવા તો you can be rational. Postmodernism is rejecting this, that one cannot be rational and get knowledge. So postmodernism is based on unscientific and irrational thought process, and it rejected logical thinking. Modernism rejected the conventional styles of prose and poetry, of course. The conventional એટલે એનાથી જૂનું, or you can say classical. So it rejected classical styles of prose and poetry that we have already seen when we have studied The Wasteland, and we have seen the example of W.B. Yeats' poem, A Second Coming. And even we have read a passage from Mrs. Dalloway, and we have seen that it rejected the conventional style of prose and poetry and created something new. So it believed in experimenting with art forms, and postmodernism deliberately uses a mixture of conventional styles. So it mixes everything, as I told you that there is mixture of everything, because it blurs the boundaries of different disciplines and discourses. So there is a mixture we can notice in postmodern art and architecture. So here is an example that how this postmodern architecture mixtures everything. So this is the example of architecture, that how classical architecture, classical view of architecture was there, then modern, how modern changed everything, and postmodern is a mixture of conventional or classical as well as modern. એટલે કે postmodernism છે, this is the mixture of both the styles, this classical as well as modern. So it is mixing this. You may have noticed that this is the way of architecture, and you can find that it is a mixture of both the styles. So this way postmodernism presents mixture in style. Now these are some of the more ideas which presents a difference in modernism and postmodernism. So modernism presents fragmented view of subjectivity and history as something to be lamented and mourned as a loss. So you may have noticed when we have studied all these examples, it is very pessimistic, and it is presenting the fragmented view of subjectivity. એટલે કે કોઈ એક માણસનું જે fragmented life કે views છે, this it is presenting, and it is also mourning એટલે દુઃખ વ્યક્ત કરવું. It is mourning on history and try to tell that the they are trying to tell that they have lost something, like કંઈક ખોવાઈ ગયેલાનું દુઃખ હોય એવી રીતે they are presenting their loss in a fragmented view. That's why we have found that this how T.S. Eliot's Wasteland is presenting fragmented view, and how all the parts are presented differently કે જ્યાં આપણને પહેલી દૃષ્ટિએ કોઈ કનેક્શન દેખાતું નથી. Postmodernism celebrates fragmentation, એટલે આ તો એન્જોય કરે છે. Yes, postmodernism believes that yes, though the life is fragmented, but it celebrates. એ એની ઉપર દુઃખ વ્યક્ત કરતું નથી. There is nothing to mourn at. So postmodernism is more radical. એટલે આ વધારે પડતું છે કંઈક. So it is a more radical aspect of modernism that postmodernism celebrates fragmentation and incoherence. એટલે જરાય દુઃખ વ્યક્ત કર્યા વગર એનું celebrate કરવું, as we have discussed when we were talking about this neo-feminism, that feminism used to criticize the aspects, the elements, the feminine aspects which were attributed to women. કે ભાઈ કોઈ એવું કે ભાઈ women ને બધી ladies છે ને pink color ગમતો હોય, તો they used to criticize it. But neo-feminism celebrates, yes, we like pink. So this how even postmodernism celebrates fragmentation and incoherence. So modernism mourns at it, એટલે કે એ એમાં દુઃખ વ્યક્ત કરે, દુઃખી થઈને એ જે fragmented view છે present કરે છે. પણ અહીંયા they are embracing the possibility that the world may be meaningless. Okay, yes, it is meaningless, and it celebrates the meaninglessness of life. Art can provide unity. Modernism believed that art can provide unity, coherence, and meaning in life. That's why you find that all the artists of modernist time, they wanted to bring unity and coherence. Because their life is fragmented. Okay, if fragmented છે એની બદલે they wanted to bring unity, coherence, and meaning in the life, and they used to create art like this. Like that's why they started their creation of art. But not pretend or asset that art can make meaning. એટલે postmodernism છે એને તો એમાંય વિશ્વાસ નથી કે છે એનાથી coherence અને unity આવશે, because they have embraced it. Embrace એટલે ગળે લગાડી લેવું. Yes, they have already accepted that nobody can make life meaningful, or they have already accepted that the life is meaningless, and they cannot find coherence even in art. So the life and art both are fragmented. Demarcation between high or elite and popular culture. So there is demarcation that we have already done in modern literature, or even in modernist art. So modernist art was produced by elite people or educated people. There was intellectual dominance. Intellectual dominance of all the artists over modern art. કે જેને પણ whoever the artist is, they all belong to intellectual class of the society, like T.S. Eliot or Ezra Pound. They were all studied too much, and sometimes they wanted to make their art difficult, and they want not other people to read, but only intelligent people to read and understand. એટલે જ Ulysses by James Joyce, which follows stream of consciousness technique, એ કોઈ જેવો તેવો કે સાદો માણસ છે એ વાંચી નહીં શકે, because it is too difficult to read, and they have made this art form very difficult. So modernist artists as well as writers made clear demarcation between high and popular culture. But postmodernism postmodernism gives the art which has mixture of high and popular culture, which can be read and studied by any person of any class કે કોઈ ભલે જેવો તેવો ભણેલો હોય છતાં પણ એને વાંચી શકે સમજી શકે. So this how there is a mixture of high and popular culture in postmodernism. So it blurs the boundaries between આ સહેલું અને આ અઘરું અથવા તો આ છે ઇન્ટેલિજન્ટ માણસો માટે આ છે એ માસ માટે એવી રીતે નહીં, but everything is to be studied. Then reality through individual consciousness. So they are presenting reality through individual consciousness. That's what they believe, that they can present reality through individual consciousness. But realism is just an incoherent and deluding notion. Means it is just illusion. Reality is just an illusion, so they don't believe in presenting reality. એટલે એવું ક્લેમ પણ નથી કરતા કે અમે લાઈફ કે અમારા આર્ટમાં રિયાલિટી સોસાયટી એવું કંઈ realistically present કરીએ છીએ, because they believe that reality is just an illusion. We cannot understand through our consciousness that that is truth or reality. And modernism struggle for wholeness and unity. It presents struggle for wholeness and unity. એટલે એવું દેખાય કે because their lives, because their views are fragmented, so they are trying to search for wholeness and unity and coherence. But postmodernism never try to do this, because they know that it is already fragmented and there can't be any answer, there can't be any coherence in their life as well as society. So it possesses a radical indeterminacy. એટલે આનાથી એકદમ detached થઈ ગયા છે કે wholeness unity એવું કંઈ જોતું નથી, because they are embracing. See, here it is written celebrates, it celebrates fragmentation, and પહેલેથી they are embracing this meaninglessness of life, so they are not searching for wholeness and unity. So these are some of the ideological differences between modernism and postmodernism. But some similarities are also there, like modernism and postmodernism both are presented with fragmentation. They both are presented they both are written, or the style is fragmented. Another one is both art reveals, or it has characteristic of self-reflexivity. They are reflecting the self, whatever they are doing. So whatever the art is, it is reflecting. So if you're reading fiction, it is narrator tries to tell you that you are reading fiction. એટલે એ હંમેશા તમને એ બાબતે કોન્શિયસ રાખે કે you are reading fiction. Remember, you are reading fiction. So it is called self-reflexivity. We will understand this even later on when we will study the literature of postmodernism. But this way, modernism and postmodernism both are celebrating, or you can say that these two art forms have fragmentation, and the art is self-reflexive. These both art is self-reflexive. So this is the difference and similarity between these modernism and postmodernism. And yes, both are rejecting the conventional or a traditional way. Both are actually a reaction towards the previous life, or towards the previous age. So they are rejecting and reacting the conventional and traditional mode of living, traditional attitudes. So they both are reaction against their previous age. So these two can be called anti-tradition. Okay, so I hope you got the idea.
Yes, ma'am.